everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are all doing well. So today's video is going to be a Q&A because I've been getting so many questions over on my Instagram, in my DMs, and also comments on YouTube videos. So I thought I'd ask for any questions people have and I can kind of answer them all in one place, and hopefully if you had these questions it helps as well. A lot of the questions were Bali related because obviously my content is literally completely about Bali and living here, but there are a few miscellaneous questions as well, so I will answer those too. If you have any other questions that I don't answer in this video, feel free to comment them down below, or you can DM me on Instagram. I am the worst at replying to messages. I am literally so bad. I don't know what it is, I just, unless I see the message as soon as it's sent, I'm useless at replying, so please don't take it personally, but I will always get back to people eventually. So if you didn't already know, Bali is currently in a lockdown, and as of yesterday it was extended until the end of July, which isn't the best, but it's also not too bad. And a lot of the questions were about the lockdown. Sorry if you can hear so many bikes going past. I tried to get up early to film this so the roads would be a little bit quieter, but it's just always busy. So a lot of the questions were asking what the lockdown's like, how strict they are, what the restrictions even are. So it's not actually a lockdown, they just call it restrictions. It's not a full lockdown. Basically there's no eating indoors, so it's takeaway or delivery only for food. The beaches are closed, but we have been to the W in Seminyak because the pool there is free to use and the beach there was completely full. Whereas we'd gone to the beach a couple of days before, or tried to go to the beach for sunset, and the police were like guarding it, blocking it off. So I'm not sure if it's a bit hit and miss with how strict they are. Maybe we tried to go on a Sunday, so maybe on a weekend they're stricter about letting people on. There is also an 8 PM curfew, which they're pretty strict on. We live on kind of like a main road, which I'm sure you can hear, and leading up to 8 PM and also kind of like every half an hour, every hour afterwards, there's a big like police truck going up and down with loads of police officers in. There's like bikes with the flashing lights, and I think they're just kind of making sure people are sticking to their curfew. You also have to wear a mask whilst you're outside at all times, so when you're on the bike or if you're walking around, you don't, if you are on the beach, you don't have to wear one. I don't think they're not that strict. To be fair, not much else has changed. The shops are still open. The hairdressers and like beauty salons and the gym Ellis went to was also still open, but I think as of a few days ago they've closed until the end of July, but I'm not too sure. I am going to film a daily vlog that's kind of like a day in the life in Bali lockdown this week, so that should be up on Tuesday if you want to watch that and see what life is kind of like now in more detail. A lot of the questions too were also about vaccines, like are we getting the vaccine in Bali? People were saying they want to come but they don't want to get the vaccine if it's required. So we were really lucky when we did come, the vaccine wasn't a requirement. You didn't have to have a vaccine passport or whatever they call them. I'd heard people saying that apparently you're not allowed to leave your house in Bali now if you don't have the vaccine, which isn't true. We've not been asked for proof, or no one's even mentioned vaccines, to be fair, and a lot of the locals are vaccinated. Everyone we've spoken to who lives here have had 2 jabs, so I think quite a lot of people have had the vaccine. I know during the lockdown period, if you're wanting to travel in between like Bali and Jakarta, you have to have proof that you've had at least 1 dose of a vaccine. But there's also a couple who were here from Ireland who have left. I will leave their Instagram on the screen. They also do YouTube if you want to go watch them. They're called Finn and Meg. They flew from Bali to Jakarta, but because they had an onward flight they didn't have to have the vaccine proof, so I think it's just if you're staying in Indonesia. I think also during the lockdown period you do have to have proof of a vaccine to be able to apply for a visa now. You don't need it to extend your visa, which luckily we've completed all our extensions anyway, but to apply for the visa I think you do need it. I will leave down below some Instagram links to some visa companies that I follow on Instagram who are really good for posting updates on the new changes. So if you are looking to come, I'd definitely look on those because it is changing constantly. It's probably changed by the time I upload this video, and I'm uploading it the day that I'm filming. Another like frequent question asked was how long we're staying in Bali for, or what are our plans after we leave Bali. So we've got 4 months left, or kind of 3.5 months now left on our visa. It runs out at the end of October, and we're just going to kind of assess the situation at the end of October and see maybe where else we could go, or if it's worth applying for an onshore visa, which you can stay in Bali for another 6 months on till we can kind of go somewhere else after as well. With COVID it's so hard to plan stuff because everything's changing constantly, and I have 1 dose of the vaccine, Ellis has none. I got one before we came out here. One of the questions also was, are we going to be getting the vaccine here? We don't want to get the vaccine here if we don't have to. I'd rather get mine back at home or maybe in Europe. I don't know, it's a completely different vaccine here, so I would kind of have to look into that before I get it. I'm not against getting the vaccines, but I don't know, if I don't have to have it, I don't think I would get it. Ellis is the same. But if you are wanting to get one in Bali, I've been told that you can either go to an international hospital or you can contact your embassy and they can kind of help sort of vaccine out. You do have to pay for it, I think, but if you want to do that, that's an option. If we can, from Bali, we would love to go to Australia. We really want to go and work and live in Australia for a little bit. Sri Lanka as well is also top of our list now. It wasn't when we first got here, but I don't know, we really want to go now. I also really want to do Vietnam. That is high up on my list, which hopefully it can be easy to get there from Bali. We'll just have to see on the entry requirements. We don't want to have to really quarantine places. One question was, do you think you'll ever return to the UK? You look so settled there. I think we will, definitely, because obviously I want to see my family, but I feel like I definitely want to live abroad for a lot longer before I ever thought about settling down in the UK. But I do want to go back and obviously see my family and my friends. Another question was, are you feeling homesick? And if you are, how are you coping with it? I did start to feel a little bit homesick when we were kind of traveling around everywhere, because we were staying in new places constantly and I didn't feel settled anywhere, and everything was just like constantly on the move, constantly on the go, and I didn't really enjoy that as much as I thought I would. I definitely prefer it now that we're based somewhere and we've got somewhere that feels like home and it's quite like comfortable and familiar and you just know where you're staying. It's not that nice if you stay somewhere that's not great and then you have to check in somewhere after that's also not great and you just want to sleep in your own bed. So it's nice to have a home now in Bali. I think coping with homesickness as well, because it's so easy to FaceTime your family and friends now. I just speak to them quite a lot and it doesn't even feel like we're that far apart. My mum laughs because I'm so bad for replying to messages. As I mentioned at the start, she knows how useless I am, and she was saying like now she speaks to me more than I did when I was at home because I answer my phone all the time, whereas when I'm at home I'm even worse. I'm absolutely useless. Another question was, is Bali as cheap as people say it is? I'm going to say yes and no. It is cheap. It's a lot cheaper than being at home. That was a big bite. But some things are more expensive than I imagined. One of the questions was anything you'd recommend packing from the UK that you can't get in Bali, and I would definitely say sun cream. Everybody says before you come like pack loads of sun cream because it's so expensive over there, and it is, and we haven't really run out. We had to buy some tanning oil the other day, but it is a lot more expensive than at home. Eating out is so cheap, but buying groceries is so expensive as well. So because we have a kitchen here, I do like to cook, and like we make our own breakfasts and stuff, and we have pasta and just like easy meals. But buying the groceries, it's cheaper to order food in. So that's hard because, well, it's easy because you don't have to wash up, you don't have to cook the food. It literally just gets delivered to your door. But sometimes it's nice to cook for yourself, and the groceries are more expensive than what you would pay at home. Alcohol as well, beers are quite cheap. It depends where you go. If you go to like a local bar, it's a lot cheaper, whereas if you go to the beach clubs and like the beach bars and stuff, it's not as expensive as it is at home, but it's definitely not as cheap as you would imagine it to be. I think cocktails are kind of like £6, £7 each, but there's always happy hours on, especially now. There's so many offers on for food. So many places do deals where it's like every day all meals on the menu are 50k each and stuff like that. So if you go for a happy hour, you can end up getting cocktails for like £2-3, which isn't bad. A couple of questions were, one person asked, is there a place to get like your hair and nails done? And another person asked, how good is it for clothes shopping? Both I would say is so easy. There's so many salons everywhere in Bali. There's so many local ones, but there's also a lot of kind of, I don't know if they're Western owned, but they're kind of like Western style salons, which are going to be more expensive than if you go to the local place. Clothes shopping too, especially in Canggu and Seminyak, there are hundreds of little boutique shops. There's so many clothes shops. The clothes aren't that cheap. I actually got this set, I don't know if you can see. It's like a little, top and short set from the market. I think this was around £7. So if you go to like the markets and stuff, it's really cheap there. But the little boutique shops I think they're kind of for tourists to go spend money in, for foreigners to spend in, so obviously they're going to be more expensive. Another question I got was, I'm coming for 2 weeks to Bali in October, where are your must visit places? And the same person also said, I'm visiting Bali and want to stay in Ubud, Seminyak and Canggu, but what order should I do this in? So I would definitely say to do Ubud first and go straight from the airport up to Ubud. I would definitely stay in like a jungle resort. A lot of the places in Ubud are kind of in the jungle anyway, so you're going to get that experience. But I would say you need to have a floating breakfast, because that is just the most cliche Bali thing you can do, but you have to do it whilst you're here. In Ubud there's so many waterfalls to go to, so I would definitely go to at least one of those. The monkey forest as well you can go do, which I'm not too keen on doing because I'm a little bit scared of the monkeys. But Ellis really wants to do that, so we're going to do that eventually. I would spend a few days in Ubud and do kind of like the nature jungly side of it, because it is really nice in Ubud. There's also the huge art market, so there's so much shopping and so many little stalls and stuff like that in Ubud. And there's also a huge night market which we went to. Sorry, my camera cut off, so I can't remember which, I don't know which bit it cut off at, but I'm just going to carry on. So I definitely spend your time in Seminyak and Canggu going to all the different cafes and the beach bars, and you need to go to the beach for the sunset because it's amazing. I love going to the beach for the sunset here. Canggu and Seminyak for me, I found doesn't really have the like adventure side to it, I don't feel, because everything like that I kind of feel like is up in Ubud or on the islands or down in Uluwatu. You could take a day trip to Uluwatu from here, which isn't too far, but I would definitely recommend going to Padang Padang Beach. It is the most amazing beach ever, and there's monkeys running around there, so you don't need to go to the monkey forest if you want to see them. But I feel like Seminyak and Canggu is definitely more the beach club, beach bar, holiday vibe, so you have to experience that whilst you're here too. A couple of questions were also asking what camera I use to vlog and what I use to edit my vlogs and what I film on, and basically just YouTube kind of questions. The camera I use is the Canon G7X Mark II. If there's anything you see that's underwater or in the sea, that's also on the GoPro Hero 9 Black, I think. I don't really know, Ellis has that one. To edit, I use Final Cut Pro. I used to use iMovie, which, to be fair, Final Cut Pro is just kind of like a juiced up version of iMovie. You've just got a little bit more control and you can edit things in more detail. I'm currently using the Final Cut Pro free trial because you can get a 90-day free trial on Apple, so why not try that if you can. But to be honest, I don't know if I'm going to pay for it when the free trial runs out, because everything I'm doing I can do on iMovie for free, so it doesn't really bother me that much. I don't do crazy like in-depth edits anyway, and that's pretty much it. My editing and filming is very basic. I think that's sometimes why I'm put off making videos and putting videos out, because I feel like they are so basic. But yeah, that's what I use if you wanted to know. Another question I got was, is it easy to make friends in Bali? And it kind of is and it kind of isn't. There's a few Facebook groups I've joined which are like Bali or Canggu community groups, so that's kind of easier to speak to people. We have made a couple of friends out here who we see quite often, so that's really nice. I've also had a lot of messages on Instagram from people who are watching my videos who are coming over to Bali soon, from the UK specifically, so that's quite nice to know that people are coming out that we can meet up with. But it has been harder to meet people than I thought, just because of COVID, I think. So obviously Bali would be so much busier before COVID, and now if you stay in a hostel, you're the only person staying there, whereas before it would be full and it would be so much easier to meet people. So I think it's definitely hard to go out and just meet people, but social media is a really easy way if you do want to connect with people and like sort out meeting up or going for drinks or food or whatever. So I would definitely say, if you are looking to meet people over here, join some Facebook groups, and also look on Instagram and YouTube and just see who's in Bali and send them a message. And the final question I'm going to end on is one that is, what conspiracy theory do you fully believe is true? So when I first read this question, I was thinking for ages, because I've seen so many videos on conspiracy theories. I love watching stuff like that, but I couldn't think of one that sticks out to me as I'm like, yeah, I definitely believe that one. I don't believe in like the lizard people and stuff like that. I feel like that's a little bit far-fetched. The moon landing, I'm not quite sure about. I have read things that makes me think it's not true, but I feel like that's very 50-50. I think I definitely believe in aliens. That's obviously like the most popular conspiracy theory ever. I don't necessarily believe in the aliens like ET or how we imagine them to look, but I do think there has to be some kind of other life out there. Like, the universe is absolutely huge. We cannot be the only living things on this one planet. I just don't believe that. So I'd say that is something I definitely believe in, but I don't necessarily think they're flying in spaceships and abducting people. And that is where I'm going to end today's video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope it answered any questions you might have had. If you have any other ones, please let me know in the comments down below, or as I said, feel free to message me on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.